The Bentley rolled up to the grand glass doors of the Wellington Grand, one of the most luxurious hotels in the heart of New York City. It was the kind of place where celebrities slipped in through side entrances, where high-powered executives conducted million-dollar deals over champagne, and where every marble tile gleamed under the weight of old money and new power. But tonight, the man stepping out of the car was not dressed like a celebrity or a billionaire CEO. His clothes were plain, his shoes worn from travel, and his hair slightly disheveled. He carried no entourage, no luggage cart stacked high with designer suitcases, just one simple leather duffel bag slung over his shoulder. This man was Daniel Harrington, the owner of the Harrington Group, a multi-billion-dollar investment firm that had quietly acquired the Wellington Grand 6 months ago. The staff didn't know it yet, but the man they were about to judge, dismiss, and ultimately humiliate was their new boss, an undercover boss in the truest sense. Daniel had a simple mission: to see how the hotel treated its guests when they believed no one important was watching. As he walked into the grand lobby, Daniel took a deep breath, trying to absorb everything. The chandeliers sparkled like constellations, and a faint scent of roses hung in the air. The place was breathtaking, yet sterile. No warmth, no humanity. He approached the front desk, where two receptionists were engaged in a hushed conversation, laughing over something on a phone screen. Daniel cleared his throat politely. "Good evening. I'd like to check in. Reservation under Harrington." The taller receptionist glanced at him, her eyes scanning his simple clothes and modest duffel. Her smile quickly vanished. "Sir, this is a 5-star property. Reservations require a platinum credit card hold. Are you sure you're in the right place?" she asked, her voice dripping with condescension. Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Yes, I'm sure. Could you please check?" With a heavy sigh, she tapped the keyboard, then rolled her eyes. "Well, the reservation is here. But you didn't specify your card for incidentals. We require at least $2,500 authorization. Do you even have that available?" Her tone made Daniel feel like an intruder rather than a paying guest. Before he could answer, the second receptionist whispered loudly, "He looks like he belongs at the Budget Inn across the street." They both chuckled. Daniel's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. He handed over his black credit card, one so rare it needed no introduction. The receptionist's eyes widened, but instead of apologizing, she forced a fake smile. "Fine. We'll process this, but next time, sir, please come prepared." Daniel walked toward the elevators, but before he could press the button, a security guard approached. "Sir, we've had a complaint," the guard said. "Guests feel uncomfortable. We can't have someone loitering around. Are you sure you belong here?" Daniel stared at him in disbelief. "I literally just checked in. Room 1703. The guard crossed his arms. "Let me be blunt. You don't look like you belong here. Management wants you out, immediately." "Out? Are you serious?" "Sir, don't make this harder. Please leave, or I'll escort you." For a long moment, Daniel considered revealing who he was. But then he stopped himself. No, he wanted to see how far this mistreatment would go. He wanted to witness, in its rawest form, how the staff treated someone they deemed unworthy of respect. So Daniel turned around, grabbed his bag, and walked out of the revolving glass doors. The biting winter air hit him like a slap, but he welcomed it. He stood there on the sidewalk, staring up at the illuminated hotel sign. He whispered under his breath, "You have no idea what you've just done." 20 minutes later, the staff inside the Wellington Grand was summoned to the ballroom for an emergency meeting. Confused murmurs filled the room as waiters, housekeepers, bellboys, receptionists, and even the general manager gathered under the glittering chandeliers. Suddenly, the doors swung open. The same man they had mocked, dismissed, and thrown out walked in, but this time, he wasn't carrying a duffel bag. He was flanked by 3 senior executives in tailored suits. The room fell silent. Daniel stepped forward, his eyes sweeping across the crowd. He spoke slowly, deliberately, each word carrying the weight of revelation. "My name is Daniel Harrington. 6 months ago, my firm acquired the Wellington Grand. Which means, whether you realized it or not, I am your employer." Gasps echoed through the ballroom. Faces turned pale. The very same receptionist who had sneered at him earlier nearly dropped her water glass. Daniel's voice hardened. "I came here tonight to experience this hotel as a guest. To see how you treat people when you don't know who they are. What I found was arrogance, disrespect, a complete lack of humanity. The silence was suffocating. He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. Then he added, and because of that, as of this very moment, every single member of tonight's shift is terminated. The room erupted in gasps, protests, and panicked whispers. But Daniel raised a hand to silence them. Before you say a word, let me share something with you. 20 minutes ago, after being kicked out, I stood outside this hotel wondering if kindness had become extinct in places like this. And then something unexpected happened. He glanced toward the doorway, and in walked a young housekeeper, still in her uniform, holding a paper cup of hot coffee. This is Maria, Daniel said softly. When I was standing outside in the cold, she came up to me. She didn't know who I was. She didn't see a billionaire. She saw a man shivering, rejected, humiliated. And she offered me coffee from her own pocket, saying, "Sir, you look like you need this more than me." The entire room turned to stare at the young woman, who now stood frozen, wide-eyed, tears brimming. Daniel's voice grew emotional. That simple act of kindness reminded me of something my late father used to say. Luxury means nothing if humanity is lost. And tonight, Maria proved that even in a place drowning in marble and gold, true luxury is compassion. He turned back to the crowd. So while the rest of you will clear out your lockers tonight, Maria will be promoted. Effective immediately, she will join the management training program. Because this hotel doesn't need more polished floors. It needs people with heart. The ballroom buzzed with shock. Some staff hung their heads in shame, realizing too late the gravity of their actions. Others stormed out angrily, muttering about unfairness. But Maria stood trembling, unable to believe what was happening. Daniel walked over, handed her the keys to the very suite he had reserved, and said, "Tonight, you stay here as my guest. Tomorrow, we start building a new Wellington Grand, one where every guest, no matter how they look or what they carry, is treated with dignity." Maria broke down in tears, whispering, "Thank you, sir. I just did what felt right." Daniel smiled. And that's exactly what this place has been missing. What followed in the weeks ahead would transform the Wellington Grand forever. The toxic culture was uprooted. Arrogance was replaced with humility. And the story of the undercover boss who was kicked out, only to return 20 minutes later and fire an entire staff, spread across the city like wildfire. Because in the end, it wasn't the marble floors or crystal chandeliers that defined luxury. It was the people who carried compassion in their hearts. And one man's undercover night proved just that.